Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining. Welcome or welcome back to anybody. Let's go ahead. I've already got the daily Dharma for today loading and some extra announcements happening there, but based on the cards, it looks like there's an expansion of the heart space going on. And so I was hoping to go in, get some of these real no-nonsense DIY cards that I've created here out and see if we're talking about an expansion in the heart space just collectively as is possible and probable, or if there are some more specific situations that we can read on. We've got our first few cards coming out. Hope you guys are doing well today. Thank you so much for spending your time and energy here. Somebody wants to take a chance on something. They've completed an old cycle. They're leveling up. They're retreating from something that no longer serves. A sense of fear. It could be based on pride and ego, the fear of failure, fear of rejection or abandonment. This person may be quite lonely and solitary and independent in their own ways here, but they've been not wanting to connect with others in recent times, but they're moving through this here. There's a mood swing and drama. Oh yeah, that says about it all at this point in time on the political climate. So we do have Chiron. This is not just for nothing. Chiron comes to provide suffering for healing. It brings up things, the issues that will feel that they'll never heal in our lives so that we can move beyond any type of limitation. So here we have guilt and shame showing up with Demon Slayer. So if there's been something that's kept you feeling rejected, abandoned, or has led to you feeling like you needed to withdraw from public or from certain people here, perhaps because of your own mood swings or the changing climates of the environments that you're in, situations you're in right now, there is some healing of guilt and shame from within. You're not feeling as bad about this anymore. You're not going to be blaming yourself or keeping yourself small any longer. Let's take some more cards. I love deep conversations. Possibly could be an air suit going on, but we've all got all elements and all signs within our own astrological makeup. So this is just somebody who really enjoys intellectual dialogue and exchanges, and they may be somebody who enjoys researching and any type of data and interesting anomalies and things that they can look at and think about. This is somebody who probably would feel less than fulfilled ultimately in their own space. I think that there's a certain amount of beauty in having your own time under your own energy and being able to feel completely okay on your own. I think that that's not what I'm talking about here. I think that this person on one level does feel completely fulfilled from a lot of things, but now that they've leveled up in some way, suddenly there's this vacancy in their life happening that perhaps wasn't there before. So it's not based on some type of emptiness. It's based on there's this commercial that somebody kept promoting recently online, and it started out before I could skip it because, you know, I keep being served the same commercials over and over again. It said, because the world turned its back on you, you turned your back on the world. And I was always like, oh, it doesn't resonate, skip. But, you know, I think that to a certain extent, that's similar to the energy that I'm trying to say here. But so, okay, yeah, there's a vacancy, romantic adventure. So now it's like with this completion leveling up, somebody's ready to take a chance to connect with somebody, to get to know somebody. And even though it's a romantic adventure, this could be something that you're planning with your platonic friends as well, to go out and have some exciting times. Life is sometimes too short for all of the blessings that it has to offer. And here we are, some of us in different times, withdrawing from the possibilities to create more love in this world. And it happens kind of incidentally and accidentally. But yeah, there's this breakthrough that keeps coming through. And in the most challenging of times, those times are generated by the universe to help us to move deeper into our love, to help us move closer to 0 point of getting back into our own inner temple and sanctuary. We have intensity does not equal intimacy. Exactly. You may come from some very challenging situations in your past, and this is below the retreat card here. And so for you, intimacy happens with somebody that accepts you for who you are and how you are, without dictating or judging you or shaming or guilting you for who and how you are. And I think that many of us have accidentally judged other people. And I think that when we are judged, that does awaken us to how it feels when we are judging other people based on generalities or otherwise. And so to create greater intimacy, there's some type of intense, spontaneous developments going on to help us break through anything that has held us back from completely moving forward and immersing ourselves in greater unconditional love in our lives. And yes, in the pre-shuffles today, before the first reading even went down, I did get the Gates of Heaven card, which is the card of releasing attachment energy on any level, whether that's, codependency or literal attachment and addiction energy to substances or behaviors that aren't helpful. But it can actually also be not to creating any type of fear or anything, but some of us, when we get into these low moods, we become magnetic to more darkness and more hatred. And so violence begets violence in our hearts and in our thoughts and our minds. And so here, this breakthrough is like, now that we've moved this huge boulder off of the heart and mind, there's this ability to lift off in a new way, this leveling up that's happening as we cast off the weight of any misunderstandings or attachments, and are more available and open to this experience despite any intensity. It's like we can be ferociously and fearlessly open throughout the storms of life, because we've learned to walk away from what does not serve. Once we have really initiated ourselves into the healing of our Chiron wounded nature, we no longer have anything standing in our way. It's like, when somebody's like, just like the yo mama jokes used to be a big thing when I was growing up. And I'm hearing this joke about you're ugly and your mama dresses you funny. If that isn't true, why do you care? And if you believe that superficial is where it's at, then that's something. But people don't say that joke because it's true. They say it to feel more powerful, and to discount and discredit and to smear another's energy. And sometimes, if it's not done in good nature, I'm saying, but I would suggest that even sarcasm can be quite biting and violent in nature, but that's just my opinion. Here we have Mars energy. Yes, so Mars is going to be turning retrograde, which is just an anomaly. It's not really like switching directions. I'm going to save you the astrology lesson, but as Mars is turning retrograde, it's going to be in the sign of Leo, which has to do with the ego. And so this isn't going to be easy for those that have identified with their beliefs and their value and who need external validation, or who have made a habit or even a business out of smearing and diminishing other individuals. 1010 on the timer there. This Mars energy in reverse in Leo has us all looking at the world stage and at the players and how they're showing themselves. And as the movie develops, we're being shown aspects of the character being developed. And there's more to be unveiled coming forward in the time to come. So what else? We've got a couple here. Guilt, shame, introvert. Right. The guilt and the shame is kind of on this hermited individual going through this healing upgrade. But they're getting back into the flow, into their positive mental attitude and their ability to choose their own joy in the moment. And it's not about being naive when we are talking about vulnerability. It is about being able to tap into that pure divine essence of the God energy within you. That was coming through at 11:11 on the timer. So we've got some more number codes. Gemini, yes, exactly. So Uranus is going to be conjunct this full moon coming up in a few hours, really, of when I'm doing this recording. And Gemini is the twins. It's the other side of the self in the mirror. And it's also communication styles and also deep soul intimate bonding, if you wanted to go that route. But it's technically, it has to do with the superficiality as well as what lies below. Because Gemini in every sign is also defined by its opposite, just as we are defined by our opposite, by our introversion. And so the extrovert will reveal what they have healed in their term of introspection is coming through. So Mars going in reverse, some people may seem to get worse before they get better in this coming phase. But following that, there's going to be another cycle of the guilt and the shame and where it lies. And some people will need to go within from this. So those that have been in the on the one side of the ledger, there's this introversion happening and a flip-flop happening here. Root chakra, we're getting back into our roots. That came out twice in the previous reading as well. Synchronicity, luck, divine intervention is coming forward in the coming time because there's a demon slayer. Exactly, with that attachment energy, we are able to, as a collective, as light workers in this time, to be able to invoke the power of divine intervention to assist us to utilize evil for a force for good. So if evil must show itself, allow it to educate itself and to recognize the karmic indebtedness that they are invoking upon themselves. And so allow them to choose to slay the demons within them, to move beyond fear, guilt, shame, blame, and and to recognize too when people are withdrawing from other people, this doesn't need to be done with any violence or show, self-sabotage, self-fulfilling prophecy, negative mindset, right? So I don't find it necessary to delete a lot of people. I think that most of the people that are actually at the level that I would have deleted, I have deleted long time ago, and I haven't let that type of individual that insults my soul back onto my algorithms for the most part. But people will be people, and they arise, and here they come. And I have chosen to just take a break from a lot of individuals and negative mindsets that are out there. And in that way, I'm helping myself to not be staring at the violence. I'm not going to keep looking at it, and I'm not going to keep invoking it. So, yeah, does this align with your highest path? Even those that agree with our energy and with our values can become misguided. And so we don't need to throw them away as a people. We need to recognize that when we've also felt the way that they must be feeling, this expression of their sacred rage, they don't do this because they don't want to stand for the truth. They believe in what they believe. Somebody here may have mother issues that are coming to the surface. And then it says, I miss you. I was trying to get a reaction. Be mine, codependent, possessive, jealous, power control issues, insecure. So somebody that you may have retreated from here has their mother issues here, and they may have been doing something, or they may have done something strategic or weird recently to get your attention and gauge your response, because they wanted to somehow get involved in this emotional manipulation. But I think that they know that you know. I don't know if I can keep my hands to myself is a weird card in this case, but it definitely tells me that somebody isn't as stable as they should be, and they need to have some time to reflect upon their actions here. Somebody wants to build some bridges, maybe a young or even an immature male, take it as a situation. They don't feel worthy anymore, or maybe they didn't to begin with. And so, in that lack of self worth and insecurity, they created extra intensity to get this reaction and response from you. And then they felt the need to gaslight you about the truth of a situation, to continue to manipulate the situation, to somehow diminish your value because they feel some type of a way. And I could speculate. I think it's a little different nuance for every individual, but I think a lot of people, they feel rejected, abandoned, and done wrong. And so they have this misappropriated Mars energy because they're blaming their mommy for not loving them enough. I don't mean to sound too harsh, but and I say that with all compassion. I absolutely do. But so, since they didn't feel loved, they feel that they need to be unloving to you, because if you don't know your worth, then you will not leave them. This person is a frenemy. So, yeah, they've given you a lot of trust issues because I don't think that you're buying it. Now, father issues comes out too. Like, somebody here doesn't actually, okay, so along with the mother issues of not feeling nourished, nurtured, and loved, the father does not acknowledge, does not validate, and does not uplift the individual. So this individual feels disenfranchised, not provided for, not seen in that way. So here we have this yin yang coming through with this electromagnetic activation and this counterbalancing movement, like we said, with this Mars energy root chakra. It's going to shake somebody's foundation so that they can actually get their roots back in. And there's a post going on. This says recently that I found, it says, tell me one sentence that has changed your life since you heard it. And the one I contributed was, you have to learn how to be your own mother and your own father. And thank you, Michael. I met this individual a couple of times at my church years ago, and he's since passed. He was elderly then. And I kept trying to ask him what he meant. And he said, it's something you have to figure out for yourself. Thank you. And I had to lean into it because I wasn't ready for the lesson until I saw the truth. So, with this yin yang electromagnetic activation, we have to recognize how to defend ourselves when we feel oppressed in a way that agrees with our integrity and values. We also need to self nurture and self care and self balance and self regulate, including our emotions and our energy and the way that we feed love or fear. Which wolf do you feed? And in this rebalancing of your inner self and also of your ability to choose for the circumstances and scenarios that you allow to keep operating around you. Whose energy are you going to allow? And if somebody stands in your face and insults you, whether it seems to be some type of weird anything, it's like it's still an insult. In this way, your own defining of your boundaries is what assists you in healing yourself by walking away from anybody who's choosing to use their free will in a lower vibrational attached format. Doesn't matter what they say their values are, if they're operating out of fear or oppression or so on. You need to look really deeply at this and consider who your friends are and who your friends are not. I thought that we could be friends, myself and this other individual, and even other people coming to mind now. And it's like, even when they do come back around, it's like, yeah, but in the moment, I do remember what you did, and I will forgive you. I will love you, but that doesn't mean I have to like you. So I'll leave that for you. So we also get chakra activation here. Be still. Integrate the lessons that come to you and make your own choices to do something that regulates and gives you balance. Meditate upon what's right for you and your soul right now. It says, I am sovereign. And with that rainbow, it is this light code activation through the heart space. The chakra activation is a great upset, a great purge. And that's why we call it things, the Great Awakening, as things like the dark night of the soul. Because until we purge the damage, we can't, like having, okay, this is going to be gross, but whether we have some type of like a blister or acne or some type of a wound, literally, then it can become infected. It can become disenfranchised within. We can tell ourselves stories about it, but it's up to us to walk through the alchemical fires of transmutation and to say, that didn't happen to me because I wasn't good enough. That happened because it was up to me to understand that you have no power over me to dictate who I am. That happens inside of me. My beauty doesn't reside in my skin. So here we do have Cancer. So there was something about Cancer in the charts happening. I meant to update my charts, but if you know somebody who is a Cancer, tread carefully with them because they're on thin ground. And I think that if you are, I don't want to fear any or get any fear in there, but if they're having these mood swings, I think that we need to not push them closer to the edge, so to speak, in whatever way that means. I mean, I'm not saying everybody's violent. I'm not saying everybody is depressed, but everybody's dealing with things that we don't quite understand. And so we sometimes need to be careful when and where we apply pressure. There's a lot of tension. Senses are peaked and everybody's wound up at this time. We are under this huge solar maximum type of moment at the full moon, combined with the full moon, where the full moon is a super moon, combined with Uranus on that full moon, creates that wild card of all bets are off. So be very careful how you choose to use your own energy, because something is transforming. And with Pluto, it's the god of the underworld, but it's also catharsis and transmutation. So, what have we learned? What would your best friend say So we have frenemies versus best friend. And so there's this choosing process going on as well. And somebody here with the initials that may begin Q, R, S, or T may be holding up a mask or a front, and they may have some ulterior motives here. But whatever their motives, it's up to us to determine and declare that this is a point where we can be sovereign unto ourselves. Again, with that mother and father issue here, it may be somebody who's parent like or authority like, or somebody who you expected to be loving towards you, because we have these friend cards over here, friend, non-friend. Even if somebody shows themselves to you, it's a way to, in rejection is its own protection. Because if somebody is rejecting us, that is the time where soul retrieval tells us, if you reject me, I thank you, because you are putting me and my spirit back unto my center, where I can recollect, recollect all of the value and the wonders of the universe that reside within my beingness. Reclaim your power. Yes. There's some stealth tactics and games going on here, and I think you know, but instead of becoming provocative or provoking or applying pressure, there is the need to compromise, choose your battles quite wisely, and to yield and share. The share word is going to be different for people. Take that as you intend. Overthinking, stress, nerves are at play, and they're not going to necessarily help us at this time. So allow yourself to get right within your own self, because that's where your power lies. There's some repressed energy based on this wounding nature. And if it is the mother or father, this repression has been operating, limiting. It's like the brick on your head, shrinking you, making you feel smaller. But the truth is, if there's a brick on our head, typically our hands are not bound, and we can flick that brick off of our heads and recognize that this person doesn't actually know what they're talking about. Scared of commitment. I feel you near me when we're miles apart. Wheel of the year. Interesting. Something is growing, changing. Something's been ongoing for over the past year. There may be some material concerns. Yeah, there's with the father issues as well. It's like maybe you're not making enough money, or maybe the person or people at your workplace or that are employing you, or that you are employed by the clients that you have. These people may be connected to scarcity mentality, poverty mentality. And so they're used to thinking that stealing and diminishing is the way to gain power. But this is a superficial issue, and I think that they've actually objectified you in some way, and this doesn't need to be like a sexual objectification. I mean that they've used you in some type of a way as evidence of their own value. It's like having you connected to them makes them feel a certain type of a way. But this has been blocking your value, because it's almost like somewhat parasitic in a way, because then you come over to give them some type of energy service, or to place your energy in their vicinity, right? And then they just utilize that energy in the way of like a black hole, where they don't understand how to be their own mother and father. And so instead of generating their own energy, they're busy pounding other individuals and gaining the resonance and resounding reverberations back from their environment, right? So they are almost like their identity is so entangled with evidence of their value that they're not even aware to see you as a person in some type of a way here. And I don't know how you need to take that. but there is a golden light code activation. Exactly. With the chakra activation, I was seeing that. Radiate and express your own beauty without limiting yourself based on the haters any longer, because I think that the haters message in our hearts and minds in the past overshadowed those that loved us, and there is more love than hate in the ledger. Breathe deeply. Go out, make sure you're getting some fresh air, some time in nature, ground yourself, hydrate, cleanse and clear your energies, and express yourself with beauty and love. No matter if you feel that you've been triggered or if you feel self-protective by some old resurgence of past drama, ancestral dramas, and karma coming up. Your dreams are coming up. I dream about you. Somebody local maybe preparing to send you a message. There was an instant recognition and attraction here, but there's been some mixed signals. They may be waiting for a sign from you or vice versa. They're really inspired and feeling this urge to get closer to you, to get more intimate, to cuddle, kiss, exchange some type of emotional. And yep, Taurus, at the full moon, you may be having some company. Somebody wants to come see you, maybe date. They've been creeping on your profile, trying to get a feel for you, waiting for their opportunity. You make them feel safe to be themselves. And here we also do have some red flags and unanswered prayers coming out with somebody who may be a leader, entrepreneur, or boss. Maybe you're choosing between two individuals. Libra coming out with the karmic scales of justice. So maybe you're relinquishing your attention to somebody who is over in a different area of your life and withdrawing energy here and recognizing who you feel safe to be yourself around. So your inner child is speaking. Venus, absolutely. Taurus is ruled by Venus. The ancestors are sending you signs and synchronicities of who actually supports you and is not afraid to stand on your side and take your hand when somebody would scream insults in your face. Somebody is holding space and coming there. There's some legalities, 3D contracts, or disputes that are escalating. So don't burn any bridges right now. Act with integrity and keep yourself nice and protected here. Young female is probably going to need to restrain herself, hold herself back in this compromised situation, and to harness her energies and not say too much with the extrovert card. Speak to what inspires you in the coming phase, because you're defining your path. Medicine or poison, consider the dose of how we put our energies in there. Uranus is changing things up, and you may be finding yourself falling hard for somebody and they for you. You may be seeing each other in your dreams or connecting across the astral planes. You feel this person when you're not around. Something is developing and they really want to impress you and come back together and get to know you a little bit more. So somebody has some very interesting things they haven't told you in the past. They're watching you have this glow up, and there's about to be an opening up, a heart opening, an emergence, and a revelation here. There's definitely the end of a cycle, and here comes Sagittarius, Gemini's opposite